All right, so today we're going deep on Bitcoin,
Okay.
but not the usual stuff like blockchain or mining or, all that.
Right.
We're going for the vision, the WHY behind it all.
Interesting.
Because get this, we got access to an AI-generated interview with Satoshi Nakamoto.
Whoa, hold on. Really?
Yeah.
That's like unheard of, right?
Hmm.
To get a glimpse into the mind of the creator, the legend,
I know, right?
especially someone who stayed totally anonymous all this time. It
Exactly.
makes you wonder, what pushed them to create Bitcoin in the first place?
Well, picture this 2008 total financial meltdown.
Oh, yeah, that was rough.
Banks, failing economies in free fall, everyone freaking out.
Right. Can't forget that.
And this AI Satoshi points straight to that crisis as like the birth of Bitcoin.
Makes sense. I mean, the whole system seemed broken.
Total, too centralized, too much power in the hands of a few.
Exactly.
Like Satoshi saw it as this crisis of trust, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Banks were supposed to be these like rock solid institutions.
The pillars of the economy.
And then boom, everything collapses.
No wonder people started looking for alternatives.
Yeah, something outside the control of governments and big institutions.
Right. Something decentralized. Something different.
And Bitcoin was that something different.
Wow.
This Satoshi even says in the interview, Bitcoin was born as a response, a way to return financial control to individuals.
Powerful stuff.
I mean, who hasn't felt that frustration with banks and fees and all that?
Oh, yeah, totally. I've been there.
It's like Satoshi tapped into that feeling and said, okay, here's a better way.
It's brilliant, really.
But it wasn't just about everyday frustrations.
Right, it's bigger than that.
It was about giving power back to the people.
Exactly, creating a system that's transparent and accountable.
But even Satoshi couldn't have predicted how huge Bitcoin would become.
I know, it's mind-blowing.
This interview even talks about their surprise at how fast it was adopted worldwide.
It's crazy to think about it.
From this niche idea to something people are actually using every day.
Yeah, to buy things, invest, even send money across borders.
It's insane.
But with that growth comes challenges,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
In the interview, Satoshi admits they didn't expect the level of misuse.
Like what kind of misuse?
We're talking ransomware attacks, darknet markets.
Seriously?
Yeah, stuff that completely goes against the original vision.
That's the thing with any powerful tool, right?
Absolutely, a double-edged sword.
It can be used for good or for bad.
Makes you think if Satoshi would have done things differently, knowing what we know now.
Right, like maybe tweak the design a bit.
Well, according to this AI, there are a few things.
Oh, really? Like what?
Scalability is a big one. Apparently, Satoshi didn't anticipate how fast demand would grow.
So the network couldn't keep up.
Yeah, leading to higher fees, slower transactions.
That's where things like the Lightning Network come in, right?
Exactly. It's like a layer built on top of Bitcoin to handle those smaller, faster transactions.
Makes things smoother.
Like a superhighway for Bitcoin payments.
So even Satoshi, the creator, could be surprised by how their creation evolved.
It happens all the time.
What else would they have changed?
Privacy is another big one.
Bitcoin isn't truly anonymous, right?
Not really. Transactions can be traced.
So what's the solution?
Well, the AI Satoshi acknowledges that stronger privacy features from the start would have been good.
To protect people's financial history.
Exactly. Give them more control over their information.
But all these new challenges, they've also pushed a ton of innovation.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, look at the explosion of the whole crypto ecosystem.
It's wild.
New cryptocurrencies popping up everywhere, smart contracts, DeFi. It's like a whole new universe.
A whole new world.
And Satoshi uses a great metaphor to describe it.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
They call it a double-edged sword.
Ooh, I like that.
On one hand, you've got the potential to revolutionize so many industries.
Think about it. Healthcare supply chains, even voting.
But then there's that other edge.
The dark side.
Exactly. And Satoshi seems really concerned about some of the trends we're seeing.
Such as?
They call out cryptocurrencies that lack real-world value.
The ones driven by hype and speculation.
Yeah, like the Wild West out there.
It's risky business.
And that kind of behavior could undermine the entire system.
Definitely a lot to think about.
So with all this in mind, how does Satoshi see the future of Bitcoin?
That's a big question.
Is it still this beacon of hope, or is there a sense of disappointment?
That's a tough one. Well, it's not just about escaping this system, it's about building something new.
Okay, so it's about more than just money or technology.
Yeah, it's about using Bitcoin to create a better world.
Like how? What do you mean by that?
Think about it, a world that's fairer, more transparent, more equitable.
I like the sound of that.
Satoshi sees Bitcoin as a catalyst for change,
Mhm.
a way to empower individuals and communities.
Give me some examples.
Sure, like financial inclusion for people who can't access traditional banking.
Ah, so like bringing more people into the financial system.
Exactly, and even new models of governance.
Okay, now you're talking my language. Tell me more.
More decentralized, more responsive to people's needs.
Yeah, I'm starting to see why Satoshi stayed anonymous.
You think so?
If you're trying to disrupt the whole system, you don't want to be the face of it.
Makes sense you'd want to stay under the radar.
Especially if you're talking about these big changes, these big ideas.
Satoshi's believed that staying anonymous was key for Bitcoin's decentralization.
Right, it's not about one person or one group.
It's about the whole community working together.
It's a global movement.
But there's also a sense of urgency in Satoshi's message.
Oh, really? Like what?
They seem to know how big the challenges are.
You mean like climate change, inequality, all that?
Exactly. It's like they're saying, we have this powerful tool, but we need to use it wisely.
And we need to act fast.
It's a call to action for everyone.
Yeah.
Developers, entrepreneurs, policymakers.
Everyone's got a role to play.
We need to think carefully about the implications of this technology.
And how it can be used to solve these problems.
It's not just about building the next cool app.
It's about making a real difference in the world.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
Satoshi challenges us to think beyond the technical stuff.
Like what? What are they talking about?
The philosophical and ethical implications of Bitcoin.
Deep stuff.
How do we balance the good with the bad?
Right, the potential for good and the risks of misuse.
Exactly. How do we empower people without exploiting them?
Those are some tough questions.
But that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating.
Yeah, we're not just talking about Bitcoin as a currency.
We're talking about it as a force for change, a catalyst for a new future,
And we're all part of shaping that future.
whether we realize it or not.
So we have a choice to make.
Right. Do we just watch as this technology evolves?
Or do we get involved and steer it in the right direction?
It's up to us.
It's amazing how much has changed since Bitcoin first appeared.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
Back then, it was this fringe idea.
Totally radical, even.
Now it's global, and the conversation has shifted.
From what is Bitcoin to how will it change the world?
Exactly. That's a huge shift.
And I think that shift reflects Satoshi's vision.
They weren't just trying to create a new currency.
They were trying to spark a movement.
A movement towards decentralization empowerment.
And a more equitable distribution of power.
But let's be real, not everyone's on board with that.
Oh, I know there's resistance.
Governments, financial institutions, even some tech giants.
They all want to control it or co-opt it.
So how does Satoshi address that tension?
Well, they acknowledge that there will always be resistance.
People who benefit from the status quo.
Exactly. But Satoshi believes in the power of ideas.
To spread, to take root, to change things from within.
They're saying you can try to control it, but you can't stop an idea whose time has come.
And that brings us to the most powerful part of this whole interview.
What's that?
Satoshi's final message.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready for this.
It's a message of hope, a call to action.
And a reminder that the journey is far from over.
I'm on the edge of my seat. Tell me everything.
Okay, so Satoshi starts by reminding us that Bitcoin is just one part of a bigger transformation.
A bigger transformation, like what?
We're seeing decentralized tech in every sector.
Finance, healthcare, energy, even governance.
It's about transparency, accountability, individual empowerment.
It's like the old way is crumbling and a new paradigm is emerging.
Exactly, and Satoshi urges us to embrace this change.
To be bold, to be creative, to build the world we want.
They specifically call for continued innovation.
Responsible use.
And a focus on solving real-world problems.
It's not about building the next big thing. It's about building things that matter.
You got it. And they leave us with this powerful statement.
Okay, what is it?
The future belongs to those who dare to dream and who work tirelessly to make those dreams a reality.
Wow, that's inspiring.
It's a call to action, a reminder that we have the power.
To challenge the status quo, to experiment, to fail to try again.
And to create a better future.
This interview has been a wild ride.
It really is.
It's given us so much to think about.
About Bitcoin, about the future, about our role in all of this.
What's your biggest takeaway?
For me, it's the mix of idealism and pragmatism.
What do you mean?
On one hand, there's this deep belief in the power of tech to create good.
But on the other hand?
There's this understanding of the challenges, the complexities of human nature.
We have to be realistic.
And we need to be thoughtful, responsible in our actions.
It's not just about the code, it's about the choices we make.
The actions we take, the future we build together.
This is what makes this conversation so relevant, so engaging.
And ultimately so hopeful.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the origins of Bitcoin to Satoshi's vision for a better world.
It's been quite a journey.
But now I want to turn things over to you, our listener. So we've dug into Satoshi's motivations and how crypto's evolved,
Yeah,
even gotten a glimpse of what they might change about Bitcoin now.
right.
But here's the thing.
Hmm.
If you could actually sit down with Satoshi, what would you ask?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
What's that burning question you'd have for the creator of all this?
So many possibilities. I
Right.
think for me, it would be about that line between freedom and guidance in the crypto world.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Like, we want decentralization,
Right.
but things can get chaotic fast.
Totally.
Did Satoshi ever imagine, like, an ethical framework for using Bitcoin?
Or was it all about just letting it evolve organically no matter what happens?
It's a good question.
Because that tension between freedom and responsibility really comes through in the interview.
Yeah, it's there.
It's like Satoshi threw this wrench into the system and said, all right, figure it out.
And we are.
Which is both brilliant and kind of scary.
Definitely.
But to be fair, a lot of good has come from it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We've got financial tools we never had before. People are experimenting with new ways to organize.
Collaborate.
Yeah. But there's also the dark side.
Yeah.
Scams, environmental concerns, all that.
It's a complex picture.
It's a lot to think about.
Maybe that was the point,
Yeah.
you know?
What do you mean?
Maybe Satoshi knew we'd have to face these challenges head on to really understand the potential.
As a global community.
Yeah, working together.
Whoa, that's deep.
It's like Bitcoin's not just a currency. It's a mirror reflecting our hopes and fears about the future.
The future of finance technology, even society,
Exactly. And that reflection keeps changing.
as Bitcoin evolves.
Which brings us back to your question.
Yeah.
If I could ask Satoshi one thing,
Mm-hmm.
it would be this. Knowing what you know now, do you still believe Bitcoin can be a force for good?
Because the answer isn't always clear.
It's complicated.
And this whole interview, even though it's AI generated, it highlights that it's not about Satoshi anymore.
No.
It's about us.
It's about what we do with it.
Are we going to build a better world or let it become another tool for greed and control?
That's the challenge, isn't it?
It is.
And that's why Satoshi's call to action at the end is so powerful.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we're not just passengers.
We're the drivers.
We shape the future of Bitcoin and maybe even the future of everything.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the vision behind Bitcoin,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this.
Yeah.
What impact do you think it will have on your life? Will you be a bystander watching from the sidelines?
Or a participant shaping the future.
The choice is yours.
And remember,
Yeah.
the journey is just beginning.